My classmates and I learned the hard way years ago how indifferent American lawmakers can be when children are dying. But there is a very important distinction to make here, which is that the shooter who killed 17 people at my high school was apprehended by law enforcement and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Over 105 children have been murdered by Israeli forces in Lebanon in just the past 10 days alone. And while people marched in the streets for my classmates, who is speaking for these children in Lebanon? Where is their voice? Where is the outrage about those deaths? In this country, a certain type of child dying is a tragedy. But elsewhere in the world, if it's brown Muslim children, it means nothing. It's negligible. People just kind of shrug it off. In the occupied West Bank last night, a child of 5-year-old named Muhammad and his brother Uthman, who is blind and has special needs, were shot in the head and face, as reported by Reuters, along with their parents when they were coming home from Ramadan shopping. 2 children survived from that family. Siwar, a girl who I met when I was in the occupied West Bank, was hit by an Israeli settler on an ATV, and she got a head injury. I saw the pictures from the hospital. It was horrifying. An ambulance came to bring her to the hospital, which very often Israeli forces block ambulances, which is something that ICE does here, and she is okay. But seeing those images, it brings to mind Hind Rajab, a girl in Gaza who was blown up by Israeli forces while she was waiting for an ambulance that was also being blocked.
This is really well put on mainstream media, nonetheless, by Cam Kasky, an activist and former congressional candidate.
So, look, I survived the Parkland shooting. I was there. I was also in Palestine. And I can promise you something, the feeling my classmates and I had of uncertainty, of maybe the next person we see is going to be the person who's going to shoot us dead, that is all the children in Palestine know. That is all they've known for their entire lives. And in America, the Parkland shooter is looked at as a villain. But in the state of Israel, the people who are killing these innocents are brave, heroic warriors. And frankly, I think that is disgusting.
He was preaching on MS Now. Another prominent figure who joined the fight.
The British state has lost its appeal to bring back terrorism charges against Liam O'Haney, who's part of the Irish rap group Kneecap.
I'll probably not be the last Irish person, definitely wasn't the first anyway, to be charged with terrorism.
The court had already thrown out the case back in September 2025, but the UK government appealed the decision.
What pressure is the British government being put under? From where? Is it from America? Is it from Israeli lobbyists? Why are they pursuing this so hard?
Prosecutors tried to bring back charges against Liam Og for allegedly expressing support for Hezbollah, a Lebanese political party with an armed wing, at a concert in November 2024. He has always denied the charges.
I think it's to try and limit our movements and where we can go and where we can talk about Gaza on stage, to try and use us as an example to other groups that if you're going to speak out about Gaza, we're going to make your life as hard as possible for as long as possible.
Definitely would be a deterrent for a group who doesn't have as much of a following.
Every single gig we'll take a moment out to show solidarity until something changes.
Since the case began, Canada and Hungary have banned Kneecap from entering, and the group was forced to cancel its 2025 US tour because of a court hearing.
There's no public outcry for me to be charged with terrorism.
I think they were trying to get the word terrorism into the mainstream as well, so that they can kind of regurgitate that whenever people are starting to challenge their ideas on what is right and what is wrong.
And who's paying for that? Like, you know what I mean? It's taxpayers' money. There's an awful lot of problems in society as it is. Like, there's no point wasting money. You have the homeless crisis, suicide crisis in the north. There's endless resources that could be used rather than this whole witch hunt circus thing.
Despite the repression and campaigns against them, Kneecap say they're determined to continue standing in solidarity with Palestinians and others facing oppression.
Oh, Kneecap, of course. Aside from their music having absolute bangers, Kneecap would be tried by the British government.
I'm here outside Westminster Magistrates Court in London, where Kneecap member Liam O'Haney has appeared charged with a terror offence. It's alleged he displayed a flag in support of Hezbollah at the group's O2 Forum show in London on the 21st of November last year. He was then charged with the terror offence on the 22nd of May. He arrived at court this morning to a crowd of hundreds of supporters who had organised a rally outside.
This is typical British establishment coming down hard on people who oppose their oppressive regime and colonialists around the world. I stand where Kneecap and what they stand for.
We flew over from Ireland for this because we are opposed to the fact that the British government is wasting hard-working British taxpayers' money to make this spectacle, to show their solidarity for fellow occupiers. Kneecap is not the story right now. Babies, children are starving. Genocide is the story. Free Palestine.
It's outrageous that Kneecap are in the dock and not Keir Starmer, who's actually complicit in genocide. Kneecap are trying to prevent genocide.
The crackdown on Kneecap is just absolutely about trying to protect Israel and stop any support for Palestine. It's not about Kneecap, it's not about their lyrics, it's not about what they say. That's all kind of smoke and mirrors.
What they're doing to Palestinians at the minute, the genocide that's going on in there, and what these boys do and being so vocal and getting that message out there is just absolutely fantastic.
Inside the court, it was adjourned until the 20th of August when it will hear arguments over its jurisdiction in the case. Liam O'Gohany has been released on unconditional bail until then.
Oh, Kneecap, of course. Those charges were dropped. Then
it was always about Gaza, about what happens if you dare to speak up. As people from Ireland, we know oppression, colonialism, famine and genocide. We have suffered and still suffer under your empire. Your attempts to silence us have failed because we're right and you're wrong. We will not be silent. We said we would fight you in your court and we would win. Today we have. If anyone on this planet is guilty of terrorism, it's the British state. Free Palestine.
Right, so what we want to do, let's we ask you to stay back.
Using special powers against the Irish people in the capital city of the UK is not new. What, however, is not new also is that they call us the Fighting Irish for a reason. We never give up.
they would appeal, and just to warn you, a major womp womp incoming.
That is 3-0 to Kneecap. This entire process was never about me, never about any threat to the public, and never about terrorism, a word used by your government to discredit people you oppress, both in Ireland and across the world. It was always about Palestine, about what happens if you dare to speak up, about what happens if you can reach large groups of people and expose their hypocrisy, about the lengths Britain will go to cover up Israeli and US war crimes. As people from Ireland, we know oppression, colonialism, famine and genocide. As people from the north of Ireland, we know it even more. As people from West Belfast, it still affects our communities and our families. We have suffered greatly and we still suffer under British occupation. An occupation built to dehumanise, an occupation built to divide. Your attempt to label me a terrorist have failed, because I was right and yet again Britain was wrong. I will not be silent, Kneecap will not be silent, the people of West Belfast will not be silent. We said we would fight you in your court and we would win. We have 3 times now. Your own High Court has ruled against you. The pathetic thing about this whole process is that you falsely tried to label me a terrorist when it is the British government ministers that are arming and assisting a genocide in Gaza, the destruction of Lebanon and the senseless slaughter of school kids in Iran. Free Palestine, free the 6 counties, Chucky Ireland.
The events go as follows. Last September, the Chief Magistrate, Paul Goldspring, rejected the case due to a filing mistake in the way the case was brought against Mo Farah, wrote The Guardian.
Today, unsurprisingly, the British government's own courts ruled that they acted illegally in stopping funding to Kneecap. For us, this action was never about £14,250. Could have been 50 pence. The motivation was equality. This was an attack on artistic culture, an attack on the Good Friday Agreement itself, and an attack on Kneecap and our way of expressing ourselves. Today, we will send the full amount awarded to 2 youth organisations in Belfast who will work with the 2 communities to create a better future for our young people. The former Secretary of State, Cammy Badenoch, and her department acted unlawfully, and this is now a fact. They don't like that we oppose British rule, that we don't believe that England serves anyone in Ireland, and the working classes on both sides of the community deserve better. They deserve funding, they deserve appropriate mental health services, and they deserve to celebrate music and art and deserve the freedom to express our culture.
It would continue. Goldspring had previously ruled the prosecutors needed to seek the Attorney General's permission to charge Kara. This permission was sought and given the next day, on the 22nd of May, but Mo Kara's lawyers said this meant the charge fell outside the 6-month time frame in which it could be brought. ITV would then print. This permission was sought and given the following day, which the court heard meant the charge fell outside the 6-month time frame in which criminal charges against a defendant can be brought. Furthermore, Lord Justice Edis, sitting with Mr. Justice Linden, said in the decision that the judge was right to hold that he had no jurisdiction to try any summary-only offense alleged to have been committed on the date. He would say, and I do quote, "The respondent has not been tried for his alleged conduct and will not be tried. He has not been convicted and he has not been acquitted." Still, shortly after the CPS declared they would be appealing the case, the band expressed on social media, once again, this is a massive waste of taxpayer money, of police time, of court time. Once again, there are endless news reports about Kara, about Kneecap, but we are not the story. We will fight you in your court again. We will win again. And they did. But what does it mean?
We're glad it's over. We expected nothing less, but we're glad it's over all the same.
You guys are, free lads Belfast who have already made it big. You don't necessarily have to get involved in these political issues or fight for what you believe in. So why do you think it's so important, even with your, name now, that you do these things, even if it brings a bit of controversy?
It's not in our nature to shy away from these things, especially when we believe we're right. Being from West Belfast and from Derry, we completely understand the importance of international solidarity and the importance of people with, platforms to speak up. We've seen it in South Africa and we've seen it around the world. So it's not something we're going to shy away from, and especially because of where we're from. Obviously, we can see the embargo and the barricade that has been, placed by America. So obviously these people are struggling to have, basic medicines, basic food rations. So I think it's just also, Cuban and Irish solidarity goes back a long time. So I think it's just important that for Ireland that we're over-representing for the Cuban people and also bring in whatever aid we can.
In terms of your main message today, what would you want to put out?
Jesus, there's so many.
Britannia waives the rules.
That'll do.
Fast forward to present day, right? And now we have Kneecap along with Haas and many others setting sail for Cuba. First off, huge supporter of their work. I think I was going to go when they were set to come to Chicago, but then obviously everything happened with the British courts and the U.S. being the empire they are, along with Canada, by the way, banned them and said they couldn't come. And I agree with DJ Provy that they threw around the T-word charge over and over and over again in a way to get in the good graces of many within the electorate and just fearmonger, because that's all that this was. They denied it. Kara denied it. But basically what I am seeing is the straight line, the correlation between being critical of the government, focusing on the atrocities happening in Palestine, and seeing those same forces that may or may not be taking money from lobbies that whether work directly or indirectly with the state of Israel, and wanting to bring the hammer down on people like this. This should not be the fight. They should not be going after any of these dudes whose music is awesome. What they should be doing is focusing on the human rights abuses that are taking place, the genocide that is ongoing, and much more. Kneecap's celebrity status has only gone up because this case was a fluke from the very start. And as someone who can see right from wrong and call out these atrocities happening over and over again, it is not on a musician. It is on the heads of state who continue trying to do their best to manufacture consent for the ongoing genocides. It is brutal. It is wrong. Everyone should be calling it out. And if everyone was, we would live in a better place. Instead, you have folks still defending Trump and Netanyahu. Incredible. Incredible. Haven't you seen enough? Well, for the Kushners, the Trumps, and many more, no.